Hello, I'm Helen, a 35-year-old interior designer with a deep love for transforming spaces into visually stunning environments. The gentle sounds of dishes clinking and subdued conversations filled our dining room. My husband, Mason, topped up his father Gabriel's wine glass as his mother, Catherine, complimented the lamb dish I had prepared that afternoon. The atmosphere was cheerful, bordering on festive, yet I sensed an undercurrent of tension. It was time for our annual family vacation discussion. So, where should we go this year? Venice? Sendai? Mason's younger sister, Alice, inquired with a sparkle of excitement. Liam, the eldest sibling, was absorbed in his phone, likely searching for flight options and accommodations. He looked up briefly to suggest, what about somewhere tropical? Like Jakarta or Singapore? Seizing the moment, I cleared my throat. Actually, I was thinking you all could come to my vacation home on the coast. It's peaceful, spacious, and directly on the beach, a perfect escape. The room fell silent. Gabriel and Catherine exchanged glances before Catherine replied, her voice polite yet dismissive. Oh, that's a sweet idea, Helen, but we were thinking of something a bit more exotic this year. Your place is wonderful, but the kids are eager to explore new countries. Mason chimed in, unaware of the disappointment his words caused. Yeah, Helen's place is nice for a weekend, but think of the adventures we could have overseas. Although hurt, I masked my feelings with a smile. Of course, I understand. Just thought I'd offer. Liam finally detached from his phone. Let's put it to a vote. All for going abroad. Hands shot up all around the table, except mine. And all for Helen's place? I raised my hand half-heartedly. It remained the only one raised. Well, that settles it. Singapore it is, Alice declared, clapping her hands joyously. As the discussion shifted to enthusiastic planning for the trip, I felt more like an observer, the rest of the dinner passing me by in a haze as they chattered about the upcoming adventure. After everyone had left and Mason retreated to his study, I stayed back to clean up, grappling with the sting of rejection from my own family. It felt like a personal critique of my place among them. I had invited them into a part of my world, only to have it dismissed. The message seemed clear. I was good enough to host their dinners, but not their vacations. This hurt lingered as I tidied up, but I resolved not to let it diminish the life Mason and I had built. Under the table earlier, Mason had squeezed my hand and whispered, "Thanks for offering, honey. We'll go another time, just the two of us." As the family's chatter about temples and exotic foods continued, I found myself withdrawing, retreating into my thoughts. I offered a piece of my world, only for it to be turned down. Despite the personal feeling of the rejection, I decided it shouldn't affect the love and worth I held in my marriage. Alone in the quiet, I realized it might be time to stop striving so hard for their approval and to start living more on my terms. I wasn't entirely sure how things would unfold, but as I switched off the lights and headed to bed, a small, defiant part of me was already plotting a memorable summer at my beautiful, yet overlooked, beach house. A few days after the dinner, Gabriel called. His voice, usually calm, now carried a hint of desperation. "Hey Helen, we've hit a snag with our Singapore trip. There's been a mix-up with the dates, and everything is fully booked because of a festival. We were wondering if we could take you up on your offer to use your beach house." I paused, still feeling the sting from their initial dismissal of my offer. Despite this, my mind was already formulating a response. "Oh, that's unfortunate," I said, masking the satisfaction of having the upper hand while contemplating how to handle the situation. "Of course, the house is available. I'd be happy to host you all," I replied with genuine warmth when Gabriel called about the sudden change in their vacation plans. "You're a lifesaver, Helen. We appreciate it," he responded gratefully. After hanging up, I shared the news with Mason, who was just as surprised as I was. "Now they want to stay at our beach house after voting it down," I remarked, a smile playing on my lips. "Looks like fate has its plans." Over the next few days, I couldn't help but let my imagination run wild with a few harmless pranks to spice up their stay. That weekend, I visited the beach house under the pretext of preparing it for my family. Instead of just cleaning and setting up, I decided to add a playful twist to their stay. I adjusted the thermostat to keep the house a brisk 55 degrees and left a strategically placed note about a temperamental hot water heater, hinting that it might take a while to heat up. Just giving them a taste of the adventure they wanted, I explained to Mason, who laughed, although a hint of concern was detectable in his laughter. Additionally, I programmed the smart home system to make the lights flicker occasionally during the evening hours. "You're not going to make it too uncomfortable, are you?" Mason asked, a slight nervousness in his voice. "Just a little harmless fun," I assured him, grinning. "Let's see if they notice any difference between an exotic getaway and my boring beach house." When Gabriel, Catherine, Liam, and Alice arrived, I greeted them warmly, making sure they felt at home. "Oh, and just a heads up, the water heater can be a bit quirky. You might need to let it run for a bit to get hot water," I told them, my tone friendly but mischievous. "Thanks for letting us use the place, Helen," Catherine said, her voice carrying a hint of reluctance, likely remembering their earlier dismissal of my offer. "No problem at all. I hope you find it relaxing," I responded cheerfully, barely concealing my anticipation for the playful surprises I had set up for their stay. With a knowing smile that masked the irony of my words, I made sure everyone was comfortably settled in before Mason and I excused ourselves, citing urgent work projects that demanded our attention back in the city. As we left, the stage was set for the family's vacation to unfold without us. Despite the distance, my curiosity got the better of me, and I couldn't resist monitoring the live feed from the cameras I had set up in the house. The first sign of trouble occurred during their inaugural dinner. As Liam animatedly recounted one of the family's cherished tales, the lights abruptly went out, plunging the room into darkness. A chorus of muffled curses and confused shouts ensued until Alice, recalling the candles I had strategically placed in the kitchen, managed to light them. "Guess the house wants us to have an authentic experience," she joked, her voice trembling slightly as the flickering candlelight cast unsettling shadows across her face. Over the following days, I watched with a mix of amusement and guilt as each minor inconvenience I had arranged unfolded. Gabriel continuously tampered with the thermostat, eventually conceding defeat and wrapping himself in a sweater I had conveniently left out. Catherine frequently voiced her annoyance with the erratic hot water supply, and their collective frustration reached a zenith when they planned to spend a day on the water using the boat docked at the house. Having hidden the boat key and left a cryptic note hinting it was in an obvious place, I observed them fruitlessly search for it, their irritation mounting with each unsuccessful attempt. From a distance, I felt a complex blend of guilt and vindication. This was more than mere retribution. It was a lesson in humility and respect, served up in a place they had so casually dismissed. "The water heater's gone off again," Catherine snapped, her voice laden with frustration as another cold draft swept through the house. "Can someone check the thermostat? It's freezing in here," Liam grumbled, shivering as he drew a blanket tighter around his shoulders. As I watched these moments of discomfort, I pondered the balance between teaching them a lesson and the genuine hospitality they might still deserve from me. "I've reset it 5 times already," Liam added, frustration seeping into his voice. "It's not working, and these lights won't stop flickering." Alice sighed, hugging herself to stay warm, clearly exhausted by the barrage of mishaps. "This was supposed to be a relaxing vacation, Helen. Any ideas?" Catherine's voice crackled over the speakerphone, tinged with irritation, yet hoping for a solution. "Oh, that's strange. Everything was working fine before you arrived," I replied, maintaining a calm and detached tone as if I was unaware of the orchestrated chaos. "Maybe check the circuit breaker. I'll send someone over when I can, but with the storm, it might take a while." As the storm outside intensified, so did the gloom inside. Gabriel tried to uplift everyone's spirits. "Come on, let's not let this ruin our trip. How about some board games by candlelight?" he suggested optimistically. "Great idea, Dad. Except the games are in the basement, which is now flooding," Liam retorted sarcastically, causing Catherine to groan in frustration. The storm outside roared louder, rattling windows and doors as if mirroring the turmoil within the household. Alice rummaged for a working flashlight just as a fierce gust of wind slammed a window shut, plunging the room into total darkness. "This is ridiculous," We should have stayed home, Catherine lamented, her voice echoing around the pitch-black room filled with fear and frustration. Nobody could have predicted this weather, Mom. Let's just make the best of it, Alice replied, her voice strained as she finally located a feeble flashlight. By the next morning, the storm was still unleashing its fury. Gabriel called again, his voice desperate. Helen, we're thinking of cutting the trip short. The power's out, and now there's a leak in the ceiling. Can you help us get out of here? I'll see what I can do, Gabriel. Stay safe, I assured him, feeling a twinge of responsibility amidst the satisfaction of my lesson. Their ordeal was a reminder of the fragile line between playful retribution and genuine distress, nudging me to reconsider the impact of my actions. And I'll update you soon, I said, the words tinged with both satisfaction and guilt. They were experiencing firsthand the sting of being disregarded, a lesson I had subtly orchestrated. When I called back with the news that a local could drive them to the nearest town, they were already packed, their spirits dampened, and ready to leave the chaos behind. Their departure was hasty and frazzled, transforming the once warm and inviting beach house into a scene of disarray. As their car vanished down the storm-drenched road, silence settled over the house. The cameras continued to record the now empty rooms, capturing the aftermath of a week filled with orchestrated disruptions. The family returned home with their spirits lowered, leaving behind a trail of bickering and complaints that would likely linger in future family gatherings. My subtle manipulations had sparked a chilly realization about the importance of empathy and respect, lessons they were now painfully learning after enduring what they had so casually imposed on me. Sometime later, I hosted another dinner. The dining room was warmly lit, the table beautifully set, almost as if the beach house incidents were a distant memory. As Gabriel, Catherine, Liam, and Alice took their seats, a subtle tension hung in the air, their faces a mixture of relief and residual stress from their abrupt end to the vacation. Thanks for hosting dinner, Helen. It's nice to end the trip on a positive note, Gabriel said, attempting a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Absolutely, I replied cheerfully. I thought we could all use a little cheering up. I've got a surprise for everyone, some highlights from the vacation. Mason clicked the remote, and the projector sprang to life. The first clips were harmless, showing their arrival and initial excitement. Laughter filled the room, momentarily easing the lingering awkwardness. The dinner progressed, the projector flashing images that stirred mixed emotions, from the humorous beginnings to the eventual chaos that unfolded. The shifting expressions in the room told a story of realization and reflection, perhaps leading to a newfound appreciation for what I had offered in the first place. As the video continued to play, the atmosphere in the room began to change. Footage of the flickering lights, the malfunctioning thermostat, and their frustrated searches for the boat key unfolded on the screen. Initially met with laughter, the mood shifted as the reality of the situation set in. Liam's laughter dwindled into silence. Wait, why did you record all this, Helen? He asked, a hint of concern in his voice. Just capturing some memorable moments, I replied lightly, but my eyes held theirs, firm and unyielding, as they gradually pieced together the intent behind the footage. The final clip showed their hurried departure in the storm, leaving a palpable silence hanging in the room. Catherine was the first to break it, her voice laden with confusion and a trace of suspicion. Helen, was this all some kind of joke to you? It wasn't a joke, I responded, my tone calm yet serious. It was a lesson in what it feels like to be dismissed and disregarded, just as I felt when I offered my home for the vacation. Alice looked down, her cheeks coloring with shame. Helen, we didn't realize we made you feel that way. Gabriel cleared his throat, the discomfort evident in his demeanor. We're truly sorry, Helen. It seems we've taken your kindness for granted. Seeing their genuine remorse, I felt a wave of relief, mixed with vindication. Perhaps they had finally understood.
I appreciate that, I said.
All I ask for is mutual respect. If that's not possible, then maybe we need to reconsider our future gatherings. Mason, who had been silent until now, spoke up, reinforcing my point. We need to make sure everyone feels valued in this family. That's non-negotiable. Catherine nodded, Her response was sincere and reflective. "You're right, Helen. We've learned our lesson." The room, filled with a mix of regret and newfound understanding, seemed to embrace a cautious hope that moving forward, the respect and appreciation within the family would be mutual and genuine. Despite the challenges we faced, I expressed my readiness to move forward. However, I made it clear that any further disrespect would not be tolerated and could end our association. The dinner concluded on a contemplative note, with everyone pondering the evening's revelations. As Gabriel, Catherine, Liam, and Alice bid farewell, their words carried a deeper sincerity, signaling a genuine commitment to improving their behavior. When the guests left and I was finally alone with Mason, I felt a significant burden lift off my shoulders. I told him that standing up for oneself is rarely easy, but it remains essential. Mason commended my handling of the situation, confident that it would make everyone think twice before disregarding others in the future. The night ended with a dual sense of closure and renewal, not just for me, but for our entire family. Respect, previously overlooked, was now paramount in everyone's minds, acting as an unspoken pledge to shape all future interactions. This marked the conclusion of our tale. What are your thoughts on Helen's method of teaching her family about respect and inclusion? Was it justified, or could there have been a better approach? Please share your views in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more engaging content. Your support is greatly appreciated.